welcome everybody, and I've been told the intro is the best part of the show. It's Carnival of Randomness, of course, on Get Mad Radio every week for your enjoyment, plus every other format under the sun. And I'm thinking, okay, we had a couple rain delays recently here, but summer is here. Maybe this will be the summer where mutated Hostess snacks come out of the lake. And Greg, don't jump in there so you can be mutated and drum more. But
I've done worse for a Twinkie, though.
Oh my God. We're very thrilled to have our guests here, and I call them Rockabilly Band with a Twist. And I also have to thank them because we've been like Dr. Frankenstein in the studio today with some new equipment. I thank them for their patience, for being nice. Too nice for a Rockabilly Band, really. They should be getting mean with me. But I want to say hello to Beck and the Bopcats. And you can introduce yourselves, including your old friend here, because I'm bad with names.
Okay.
So say hi.
Hi, I'm Beck Natalie.
Hi, I'm John Kuhns.
Paul Towsley.
Kevin Stewart.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
What about me? Oh, never mind.
That's the house drummer. But I'm thinking, when you go see shows, now when you see our Maestro Tech play, you expect the James Brown routine where they take him away from his piano, they put the coat on, he goes running back 20 times. Now when Greg plays, everybody waits for the famed moment where he sticks the drumsticks up his nose and plays like a walrus. I mean, you can't miss that one. But I always think there's some shows I go, yeah, I'm going to see a performer. But I think Rockabilly, you have to bring a show and a feeling, and I think you really bring that feeling. And am I off base on that or not? That Rockabilly it's like a lifestyle too.
Yeah, like I feel like we're a performance band. We're not just a band that goes up and sings. Like we bring it with the outfits, the attitude, and we just kind of bring life to everything we do on stage.
It's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
The songs themselves are not very difficult, so we have to add some sizzle to make them interesting and powerful and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, simplicity rules.
Yeah, it's a simpler style, so I think that transcends, though. It seems to be able to be used in a lot of different applications. Because it started out right in the 60s with guys that probably couldn't play that much, right? The 50s and 60s, it was just basically blues. And then, I guess we owe a lot to the Stray Cats and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there was especially in the 1970s, there was a 50s revival. So you got Robert Gordon, Sean on now. But I'll give an example, and this will turn out, we might talk about a little later, that it always finds out, like guests turn out they knew me from a long time ago.
Oh,
and Beck and I have a connection like that. But so one time, there's a show at the Harmony House in Webster. I love that place.
That's a cool place.
High Risers played. So I'm there with Todd.
The
I'm there with Todd Kratz, and we're sitting outside. Why? Because they're doing dance lessons, and I'm the guy in the corner who looks miserable. I'm not dancing. We're sitting out there. We're seeing all these 50s type cars driving down this block in Webster. We go, bet you know where they're going. Sure enough, they're turning in the parking lot.
Oh,
and I think it evokes. It just evokes like a time and a period in life, like. An imaginary time, obviously, but that's what the fun is, like the 50s we imagine.
For sure. And you mentioned the High Risers. They're one of my biggest inspirations. And I would go see them when I was in my late teens and early 20s at the Dinosaur Barbecue and dance to them. And just we actually cover one of their songs because of how inspired I was by them and the vibe they brought to everything. Because it was like jumping back in time, but like to a time that I never lived, but I just enjoyed being there. And so I get what you're...
And I enjoy that better, too, because it takes all the bad stuff out of there. And it's like but first time, I often tell this story, and we had Susan Plunkett on here from Jazzberry. The first time I ever saw them, I was going to go see the Kinks, the UK Jive Tour, so my good friend goes, hey, this band it was called The Essentials at the time. First show ever at Jazzberry's on East, and they played there. And I think the Skeletons played with them. Now that's up. I've talked to like Mark and Todd Bradley about it, and we really just don't remember that. I just remember some drunk poured a picture of Bash Tail in my lap. But hey, that's rock and roll. But how did this thing get started for all of you?
So I took an ad out like 5 years ago. I took an ad out looking for someone to play some different rockabilly kind of music. I hadn't seen any out. My ex-husband is in a lot of bands. I would go see a lot of music out, and I just never saw anything like what I wanted to play. And that was like the Reverend Horton Heat and the Super Suckers, and later I learned the Detroit Cobras and this kind of music that we just don't see in Rochester. I hadn't, but the High Risers were a huge inspiration. So I'm like, I want to do the High Risers, but kind of like punked out. So I took out an ad, and my friend Jim reached out, who later became my friend and first guitar player, and then we just evolved. We brought in Paul, and he was like right at the beginning, Paul Towsley, our bass player, and we had several different amazing drummers, and then we found Kevin, who's absolutely incredible, and we just formed this wonderful band, and then later we brought in John Kuhns, who's now our guitar player, and it had several iterations, but we really worked hard. We studied the music, and we learned these things that were obscure but also catchy, and that's where we are.
That's actually, I'm sort of chuckling a little bit. You advertised for a drummer, and Greg missed the ad?
I might have been out of town. Who knows?
He must have been like, I'm actually a little bit chuckled because they're good friends of mine. I know Greg Towns since they met him like 1990. And the one thing I can't picture them is I picture them as great musicians. They do great stuff. I cannot picture them as he's too nice. I can't imagine him looking like a rebel out there on stage.
But he's so inspiring, and they brought me up on stage at the Dino in like probably 2018, and they brought me up for the song "Just Like a River," and they let me sing,
Just Like
and
a
it
River.
was yes, and we cover that now. Yeah. But it was the best day of my life. Honestly, I was so excited. My friends were all there cheering me on. I was I couldn't believe I was up there, and then I had started to get really big dreams after that. I'm like, I want to do this.
So from the Cuyahoga to the Genesee
yes.
or something.
Yes.
Well, I love those. It goes back to the days of yore. I used to love those dinosaur barbecue gigs.
I know. I miss them.
Around and
I miss it. It was so much fun. I made so many amazing friends, and just, the vibe was, like you said, it's like this era that maybe didn't really exist, or maybe it did, but I never knew it. But
of it,
I just dreamt of it. And then these guys, as I brought them in, Paul's like, I love this. And he just embraced it. And then he brought his own spin on it. And if you see him play, our upright bass player, everybody loves him. He just brings so much joy. He has a look to him. He has a vibe to him. He spins his bass. He's really amazing.
But there's like a little joke I say with my RPO friends. The harpist gets the attention in the RPO harpsichord. But I think for me, in terms of rock, I just think upright basses are cool. Yeah. And maybe it's going back to like Tom and Jerry when they're spinning the bass around.
I've played in a lot of bands as an electric bass player and been completely ignored. So now I've learned to play the string bass, which before this band, I'd only ever played string bass in stuff like Gilbert and Sullivan operas and Rodgers and Hammerstein musical theater and stuff like that. So I got to come in, I get to learn a new skill, which was the slapping of the bass. Right. And then also everyone loves it, so I just ham it up every time and
I don't know, just
want
to me
to perform.
It looks cool. Like I see guys, the guitar player like that or whatever, or but the upright bass just looks. You look cool. Like
you can do more with
like
it.
This,
it's almost like you're not dancing with it, but you know what I mean? It's like it's more.
Dances. Oh, I dance
it's more
with it.
part
he
of
dances
you
with it
instead of just standing there with a big like this, with your hands in different directions. But this way, your hands are up and down. It's a little more. It seems more natural to me.
He often wears a top hat, and then when he takes it off, he'll put it onto the top of the bass, and that becomes his Bessie, right?
Yeah, Bessie's the name of the bass. Yeah. She's over 100 years old.
I bring it to every gig. By date.
She can still move like she's a young...
Just like from a non-musician, I'm like the talented amateur, like in the Avengers with Emma Peel. How is, sound-wise, how does it differ from electric bass, really?
It's a lot thumpier, so it's not as crisp and clear. It uses older flat wound strings, so it's a little bit deeper tone, and like the electric bass has round wound strings, which are more piano and crispy kind of sound. So that's really the difference. But then the reason why people slapped the bass, like especially back in the 50s, the bands were getting louder and the bass player needed to stand out, so they had to physically attack the bass and make it be louder because of that.
Right. I mean, you look at those the old 40s bands, the big bands, that's why those drum sets are so huge. Mm-hmm. The bass drum had to be huge to get to travel those dance floors, the ballrooms and stuff. So it was a lot more acoustic back in those days. And that's all they had.
Yeah, plus you always have to deal with the egomaniacal drummers who are probably so loud every time.
I can't be seen behind this big bass drum.
Yeah, that's actually another good thing. It blocks the drummers out if you stand in the right way.
Aww.
We do drummer jokes here all the time.
Always. Well, our drummer is super unique because he has a beautiful voice. So he brings this background vocals, but I don't even know if they're background vocals. They're just like accompaniment to almost every song.
That's awesome.
Actually, I have to ask that question because Greg does a couple songs. I would just think that would be the toughest instrument to try. Because I know if I was like playing drums, I'd be like, la. Oh, I forgot to stop playing. Darn it. Oh, but is it tougher to sing? Like, because I know like Don Henley and Levon Helm have sung behind them, but is it sort of tough to keep time? And you too, Greg, because I know you actually sing whole songs.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a question of, you can back me up. It's just, you have to learn where to breathe so it doesn't get in the way of what you're doing, and then you just have to kind of, it's all coordination, and you just have to, it's another part of your brain that gets split up, and there's nothing else I can say about that.
The playing the drums part is just muscle memory.
Right.
I mean, you don't even think about it. I mean, you sit down, you're playing, you know the songs, you know the grooves, you know the fills, you know the stops and starts, so you can just think about your vocals, and your arms and legs just do what they do.
Pretty much, yeah.
I always would worry about that, though, in Rochester, because everybody's in, like, 6 bands. You start playing a song from a wrong band sometimes.
Well, like I said before, I played a few wrong endings.
But the other thing I was going to say about upright bass, that we talked about it before the show, is I'm still terrified of people who stand on it.
Oh, but I love that. And so the Reverend Horton, he is a huge inspiration to me. And Jimbo jumps on that bass, and I always had this vision. Paul's a little bit bigger. I don't think he's about to jump onto his bass.
Bass would need structural reinforcement if I wanted to do something like that.
Because I do have this like dream that sometimes I'll wake up to where I'm dancing on his bass. I don't think he'd ever let me. But maybe one day we'll...
Well, we do have... Here's a song idea for you, Dancing on a Bass.
Ooh, I like it. Because now we are going to be starting to write our own music. We haven't up until this point, but we're all inspired by it. I'm a writer. The guys are so good at just picking out riffs and coming up with melodies and with the tunes. So we do hope to start writing.
That's the way you do it, though, because I've done some writing, and I used to really like Ray Bradbury or Harlan Ellison or Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
What you do is you sort of start from there, and then you get your own feelings. So you take something you know, and you make it your own.
Absolutely. And the song that we did that accompanies this podcast...
Well, don't tell me yet. I don't want to know.
Oh,
I want to be surprised.
All right. Well, but it's a story. It's not... I mean, there's a lot of love songs. There's a lot of songs about experiences. This is a true story, and we're really inspired by it. We are covering an Otis Redding tune, but I changed some of the lyrics and rewrote them. But some of the lyrics that we're envisioning in the future are like really story-based. And sure, it's awesome to talk about experiences and really feel it and come from the emotional level, but it's also really fun to just tell a story.
Or go deep like Bop.
Oh, real deep.
No, but I enjoy the idea. You're basically, and one of my all-time favorite songwriters is Ray Davies. And I think with the Kinks, he's number one. I think he's so pure England in a way, but all his songs are these little stories. And I think that's fantastic. I was actually listening to Red Cadillac and a Black Mustache last night by Warren Smith. And you get in, like, within under 3 minutes, you get a little story. You know about the song and everything else, what's happening here.
Yeah, it's fun. It's entertaining. It's like reading a tiny little 3-minute short novel. But it's, there's some climax, there's some excitement, and so we're really excited.
And I also think the thing that's happening with you, and you sort of serendipity, is that the biggest thing for bands, and I've said this many times, you get virtuoso performers. You have to get together. You have to get people that have chemistry on the same page. And how are the dynamics of the band, sort of?
We're like a family.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We're so close.
Yeah, so are Greg and I, but we're dysfunctional.
There's always little ups and downs, but honestly, we're really close. We listen to each other. There's a lot of grace that we give one another, and I don't know, you guys speak to that too, but I think that we're a great match.
Yeah, we're all bought into the same concept and same ideas, and open to everybody else's newer ideas. So we're not worried about competition or power struggle. We all understand that this is a group that's supposed to build and grow together. So it's about us.
Yeah.
As a group and as a family.
Like
not
a
about
math
one or the
problem.
other. Yeah.
And
We're all trying to solve
Many
it
steps,
together.
one solution.
That's right.
You got to do it all together.
So Stu and I have been friends for, 30 years? Yeah. So
more than that.
Yeah.
You forgot how old we are.
Oh, no.
I was trying not to
Everybody is
remember.
29 on this show.
That is
trying
right.
not to
Let's
remember.
stick with that.
But we've been friends for a long time. So as the new guy in the band, I could just look and see how much fun Kevin's having and how much he enjoys this band, and I just knew that it would be, I would love to play with them. Yeah. And when Kevin first started playing drums for the band, I went to see one of their shows, and I had just opened up the School of Rock over in Victor, and immediately I recognized what an incredible talent Beck is, and do you remember?
Yeah,
I asked you to come teach at the school.
I do. I remember.
So.
Which now we should discuss again, because that leads into something quick that we did just recently. We've been mentoring these students from West Irondequoit and a Penfield High School student as well. And they just played a show with us. They played 2 shows, but the main one was at Iron Smoke a few weeks ago, and we had these students come up on stage. They're, what I like to think is they're the next generation of rockabilly. We instilled the beauty of this genre with them, and so we had these students, Jane Pitnero and Sabrina Higbee and Tate and Stewart, and they all joined us on stage, and they sang various songs with us, and it was amazing. I'm getting chills talking about it. It was a beautiful experience, and working with children, even though, this is, our passion is to do this for ourselves, but also to just kind of instill the amazing, wonderful experience of playing music live, but more playing something different live. I think all of us really got a lot out of that, and we're really proud of these kids.
That reminds me of, in terms of high school. So my brother played in a band that played at Scourge's a lot. It was alternative. And so I got to know Ramones, Gun Club, and everything, whereas going to a suburban school, if you weren't in big...
it.
So I would try to make tapes and be like, Rob, this music sucks. But, and now you hear Ramones at Target is the music.
Right.
But... there's an experience that's sort of similar to that for me. I went to meet Dick Dale at the House of Guitars. And you have to understand Dick Dale was over an hour late. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm the first one, but he starts talking to me, and I had a copy of Mojo with him, and it's I never seen this one. It's hey, you want it? By the time we're done, he's inviting me over to his house at Big Sur, and I'm looking behind me. Okay, this is an hour. I'm getting jumped in the parking lot because of you. But I look behind me and I see these kids, and I go, these kids are they're one of us. They're the misfits at school, and they're digging this kind of music. Cool. And I go, because good music through the ages, they're going to find people. Sometimes I remember getting caught in high school. I'm in the locker and I'm talking about listening to Coltrane, and I see one of my friends who's a metalhead looking over I'm going to write him down. He's a traitor. You are a traitor.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity too to go into music history a little bit, because like I said, the blues in the 40s and 50s, that music was rural music. It was simple, and it was for people that had limited skills, but it was easy to learn. And then, it picks up, and they played them at barn dances and whatnot, and they're fun. And the beat is similar, fairly similar throughout them. And I just think it's fun, like you were saying, it's fun music to play. And I think that's a good lesson for kids, too. It's it doesn't have to have 100 chords and all kinds of crazy time changes. And, it's just some basic fun stuff to play, and you'll get a lot out of it.
Like John Bonham said, people don't know what the triple paradiddle is or anything you're doing. It's about feeling and everything else. And also from the origins of music, I got into during the dreaded lockdown a lot of world music. And number one, if you don't have the money, you have to use a washboard, use a very simple instrument.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
improvise. Yeah. You can't have, here's a full orchestra when you barely have money for food or anything.
Yeah,
I think the jailhouse rock.
Of it.
If you don't have grab a wooden chair.
Yeah, grab a wooden chair.
It's
we do that.
Yeah. I mean, you had what you had at the time. You get spoons and the washboard, and then you evolve from there. Now people are, buying those things and they wear them, and the Zydeco stuff. It's crazy.
It is.
It's cool.
It's awesome.
Or blowing into like a little bottle or something.
Anything.
But I have the idea that I think a lot of
got.
You're now going to run into my weird analogies, which I think a lot of bands are like the Emperor Augustus, because when they came to power, he's like, okay, kings are not popular in Rome, and if you say you're a king or self, they look at Caesar when he's like, I'm going to be a dictator. They got rid of them. They don't like them. So I'm going to be a princeps. They were not called emperors. This is like later on. So I'm going to be a princeps, first citizen, imperator. So what he would do was, oh yeah, I'm not a dictator. No, run the Senate, do anything you want. Then they just do everything he wanted. So, and I always look at that as some bands. They're like, oh yeah, I'll take your idea. We're going to do your idea. Then, okay, no.
That's not us, though. That's definitely not us. We're all very, kind and accepting of one another's ideas and critiques. And if a couple of us suggest a song and we're not about it, then we don't do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I've said that I call you a rockabilly band with a twist, because, yes, where else? Now, this is, if I can't urge you to go see one of the shows more, where else can you see rockabilly for Fight for the Right to Party? And that does stick out in my head. Who the heck came out with this one?
I know, it's so fun. So we do it with a rockabilly twist. So Fight for Your Right, and we do an NSYNC song, and we do a bunch of others that are so, you wouldn't expect them to be rockabilly, but I like to say we rockabilly it up.
Here's actually a good question.
It's really awesome when we do those songs. People you can see in their faces puzzled because they're like, why does this sound familiar? And when we hit the chorus, the light bulb goes off, and you see everybody go, oh!
That's like actually, last time I saw Dylan sometimes if he's been playing this song, he'll just do a version, and you'll hear this song you've heard hundreds of times, what in the heck is he playing? Oh, yeah, it's like a Rolling Stone. It's like that. But is there anything, could you think of actually sort of fun, what would be sort of a really interesting, weird song to cover for a rockabilly band?
Well, I've thrown out Britney Spears. I think we should do a Britney Spears song.
I completely agree.
You do?
Yes.
I think it'd be so fun. We would just want to make it rockabilly enough where, again, like Kevin said, you look out and people are like, why do I think I know this? I recognize this. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, because that look, once they realize, is priceless. And then they start singing. Then they're so excited. Then they pull out their phone, start taking video, start telling everyone around them. That's the fun part, because a lot of bands cover a lot of different songs and you know right away. And what we like to do is kind of shock you a little or surprise you.
And I think that's the point, because I think it's always fun to go see all the old hits. And I always think, this is one of my little pet peeves with local bands, any band, I think, where, okay, I'm going to do a Johnny Cash cover. FYI, there's more than 3 Johnny Cash songs in the catalog. And I get that, but I mean, after I've heard, I've been to Folsom Prison 1,000 times.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's like I have to say the same thing for, Jolene, Dolly Parton. I've heard, you guys do Jolene,
We do Jolene.
But we do it. But we rockabilly it up like the others. We do it wicked fast and kind of with a little grunge twist. But, we also listen to our crowd. And so where we don't do a ton of mainstream music, when people request it enough times, you're like, you know what, we got to learn it. So Jolene was one that we were at multiple venues, and almost every time we'd get requested to do it, and we didn't know it. And so we decided, let's learn it quick. And now when we do it, people love it. And so you've got to have kind of those back pocket songs where maybe it's not the one you want to start with, and you don't want to necessarily do it every time, but people do appreciate and love it.
Okay, you're number 8 now.
So
hey!
You're number 8 for bands.
We're, I'm learning Jolene to, play my first show with the band. And, I'm listening to the Dolly Parton version, and I'm going, ooh, this is a pretty, intricate finger-picking part. And I spent, quite a bit of time learning that finger picking part, and then we started playing the song, and I go, no way, it's this fucking fast. I'm not going to be able to play that part.
Yeah, we go wicked fast. And it may not be, some of the people that want to dance or they're used to the original version, we're not going to do it that way. But we are going to still deliver some of these.
No.
Well, I also think there is a category. This is like a category nobody talks about. Songs that are just fun to play live. And I'll give you like one. I remember actually Kim Draheim put a band together for something at Loving Cup. Yeah. Rockin' in the Free World.
Oh, yeah.
By Neil Young. That's a fun song to play.
That's right. Every time I play it, I have a blast, and people like it. It's so simple. It's just, you know.
But I think some songs is like for a band, you're like, hey, I just really enjoy playing this.
Yeah, and we enjoy making people happy. I think that is something we all agree on. That, like, there are songs that I may not love, or Paul or Kevin and John don't love, but when we look out and see that other people love them, it's like, you know what, this is 2.5 minutes of our life. We're going to rockabilly it up anyway. Let's just do it, and they're happy. And then, then we go in with something super obscure after that.
Yeah. You hit on a good point, though. You have to listen to your crowd because, let's face it, you want a following, as they say. If you want people to come, you can't ignore them.
Sure.
We're not going to do those songs. That's stupid. What do you know about? You can't be like that.
No,
so you have to really zero in on what they ask you to do, and making the crowd happy is like why you're there.
Yeah.
Definitely. We have to feel good as musicians too, but we're there to have people hear it. That's the whole. It's a dance. It
is.
Yeah, and some of those songs that are suggested and we want to learn, when you listen to it, sometimes it's like, I don't know. You give it a try, and then if you're playing it with the right people,
right,
you may not like to listen to it, but playing it is a whole different aspect of the song. Right. It brings out so many. You add in your own little intricacies, and you make it your own, and then you become a part of it because you're part of the group that's playing it. So it's not always about the song that's suggested; it's about what you turn it into.
Right.
I love that.
Good idea.
And actually, I want to go into I always say this too in terms of for musicians, that how did your instruments find you? Did you just gravitate toward them, or?
In 5th grade, I wanted to play the trumpet, but I was going to have braces, so they said, nope, you cannot play a wind instrument, so here's a pair of sticks.
I tried to learn how to play guitar as a teenager, and I never really got it. And then someone suggested that I maybe pick up bass. And then I started listening to all these albums that I loved. And it's like, oh, the bass player is the coolest one on The Who and in Primus and all this stuff. I had no idea what bass was before that. And then I just learned, like, how important bass is.
You know what's really important?
And then put it across.
A lot of, like, even, like, Guns N' Roses, like Duff was saying, a lot of those, like, Soul Train bands, like Chic and Parliament with those crunchy basses.
Yeah.
Those type of things. Because I think it's overlooked because you always like the guitar gods. You don't realize the rhythm section and the bass. And I think especially like in jazz, even it's like that too. It's more...
Right.
Play a gig where the bass goes out.
Yeah,
the amp goes out, and you're like, what happened?
What happened?
But I've always heard you're a virtuoso piano player, though.
Oh, that might have been Andy being a little facetious. I am far from virtuous.
Well, how'd you get into the other instrument?
I've just for as long as I can remember, music is what spoke to me, and started playing different instruments when I was 7, and I through the years changed a lot. Did piano as a little kid, didn't really gravitate to piano then. Then I tried trumpet, and then finally when I started playing guitar, it was yeah, this is it. This is the one.
Yeah, but in high school, we already had 2 guitarists, so we needed a bass player. So John's time to learn the bass.
Well, that's actually the best. It's it's almost like the idea of for trying to be in a band, and I won't want to stereotype, but there's probably so many people want to be guitarists, but it's like trying to get into Major League Baseball, so you become a catcher because it might be your best chance.
Right, right. Yeah,
stuff like that.
I don't mind having knee replacement surgery. So.
But I remember because my brother plays keyboards, and I was playing keyboards, and I think I made the mistake of. First thing I tried to do was Masa Gorski's pictures at an exhibition. So I no longer played keyboards. So then I started playing bass a little bit, and we had a band called Feedback because our amps were $15 in high school. And I really kind of sucked, I thought. I'm not a perfectionist, but I try to do a level. So it goes, okay, what can you do when you can't do music? You can't do anything. Well, when you can't do anything, you become a podcaster. So that was Now I want to talk about, too, for you, how did you get into like from singing and the idea of going up and people and performing? Did that come naturally, or did it come? Because I find a lot of people who are more flamboyant, like Ivy from the Cramps, very shy in person. You know, the more flamboyant.
So I was in plays when I was young, like middle school, even younger, and then high school. But I really didn't revisit this until college and grad school when I was teaching. So I decided to be a teaching assistant, and I was really scared. And I was scared to get up in front of the class, and I just kept doing it over and over. And I always had this dream to sing. I sang, like I said, in middle school. My parents are very musical, my dad especially. Played guitar, accordion, piano, and was always really inspired by him. And so then my husband at the time was in a bunch of bands, and he plays metal, and I was really inspired by him as well. And I'm like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And so one day I just decided to start going to karaoke, singing at karaoke, and I kept being told, like, you should start a band. So I started taking out ads. And that's how I met. I've had amazing partners. I really have had awesome partners throughout the years, in the last like 10 to 12 years. I've met various people, sang with a couple different partners, started a band with one group, then COVID happened. We kind of stopped meeting, and then I'm like, I need this. I want this. I'm so inspired by it. And like I said, I started to say, you know what? If I take out an ad, why don't I take out what I want to do? Instead of just saying I'm a singer, let me literally list the music I want to play. And that's how this band started, because I literally put, okay, this is what I want to play. And I was, like I said, inspired by the High Risers, the Super Suckers, Reverend Horton Heat, Elvis, Johnny Cash. And I just made a whole list. And, you know, the rest was history, because I met this great partner, and he and I just started to play all the time. And we decided to start this. You didn't get the
people showing up, let's do Vivaldi, the Four Seasons.
No, because I curated, and I was very particular. And, you know, if someone responded, there were some weirdos. There's some huge weirdos out there.
I will tell you, sorry to interrupt, but I remember we had, like, for a couple bands I was sort of involved with, some of the, and it was always, actually, this is a good point, the hardest thing to fill was the bass player. That was the hardest position to fill.
We got an amazing one, and he hasn't left yet. And no,
so respect
he's awesome.
Your bass player.
Yes, respect your bass player. He's amazing.
But he would get, like, there would be, like, the one guy, I guess, for one band, he comes out, and he comes and he's dressed, like, in 70s frills, and he grabs the mic, we're gonna rock! It's like, you're out of here.
Well, you've got a lot of people that will respond to different ads, especially when you're female. So with the last ad I made where I listed the types of music, I did not indicate that I was male or female, and I kept it very generic. And so that helped, because a lot of the previous ads where I really just wanted to find a partner, people would say very creepy, weird things. And it's like, well, I will pay you to have you sing for me, or things like that. And it's like, no. So this was a really true match, because it was based on the music and the passion. And then, you know, it went from there.
But just the first feeling when you got up on stage, how was it? Was it just...
I was so nervous.
Because I would be up there, and I've seen opening, like, bands the first time they've ever played, and you could see, like, there's some nerves. And a lot of times what I've seen is... once they get rolling,
that's like, what it was. Yeah. It was literally the first song, because the first show that I did with Jim, it was just Jim and I at the House of Guitars stage, and my family and friends were there. And the first song, I was like literally shaking, and by halfway through it, I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I loved it. And we both, you know, it's the music and the passion for the music and watching people enjoy what you're doing.
I think we have the connection, as we found out, because, like, you're saying, wait a second, I know that dude, and we know this dude here because he's been on before.
Well, I pulled in the parking lot. I'm like, I know him, but I don't know him from just this. How do I know him?
And I'm like, oh, no, another podcast fan. Please, no selfies and autographs, no hair. But I'm going, wait a second, because this is how music connects here, because why do we know who we are? Because of years at the Bug Jar.
Hell yeah.
And that's how I would have found some of my best friends ever. How? Because I would just go, and I think there's also a sort of, I don't know a good word for it, but there's like sort of it is sort of like a little familiar, like a sort of a family thing, a little, because, okay, you have your REOs, your Journeys, bless them, all the big bands. And I like a lot of big bands, like we was mentioning Rush before. I like Rush, but there's a thing when you go see what I call the underground scene, and you're going to, it sort of becomes special. And you're like, wait a second, this is somebody. Like, I'm walking my dog through the woods one time, and I run into some friend, but they had a velvet Elvis shirt on. And what's the first thing I do? Hey, I know them. They're like, oh shit, it's Rob. But no, there's like we're all into this. This is like our little tribe. You could talk to these people, but you could mention bands, and nobody's like, who the hell are they?
I think audiences are more sophisticated now, too. They're listening to more stuff. You got more people involved in music through school, and they come and hear a good band. If they see you're good and they can see that you know your instrument, they come up to you, they talk to you, hey, you guys are great. And they're not just saying it to meet the band type of thing. You know, I think a lot of the scene has changed. You got a lot more people that are actively involved and wanting to hear good music.
I think also you've been making, yes, you do make good points.
I do every now and then.
I think, especially after COVID, and people, like for me, except for people dying, obviously, it was like for me and some friends, our introverted side was like, yay, never end. You know, but I would also meet people who were like my friends' parents who were older, but they would go to their community clubs. They aged because they lost their routine. And I knew some people. I had one person talk to me going, I was like really mentally really bad because I'm used to going to shows all the time. And I think it affected a lot of people where you've used this term a lot. I think, and I would see it too, where people don't even know why they're going out, but they're going out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like that. And I think that's the thing.
They want something. They're looking for something. And, you know, they got to get away from their routine and they want to go, maybe this will happen if I go out and meet some people or whatever.
But it was also, there was the other point about it that I would talk to some bands and they go, how are you guys doing? Oh, I've written like 4 albums worth of material.
Wow.
And then there'd be like me, I'm going to, this done. Okay, I think I forgot to put a sock in the dryer. One of those. How did it affect all of you for like being, because how long have you actually been around? I'm bad with years when the first time I saw you.
Us as a band hadn't started then. I personally was working on another project that sort of crumbled during COVID because none of us were meeting up. I had my kids with me full time, and they kept me sane, and it was actually amazing to have that time with them, but also very difficult, obviously. I'll let you guys share your experiences.
Well, I went crazy as a drummer with ADD. It was hard. It was very difficult to just be home all the time. I loved my kids, and we had a great time, but I missed playing, so it was. Yeah, it was tough.
You know, it's funny. I clean my basement, which is like, you might sound weird, but I have like this. I hardly go down there. I practice down there, and the band practices down there. But you know, finally, I said I pulled away everything from the wall and swept and cleaned. You know, threw out old crummy wood and whatever, and it was really good for me. But it made it into a nicer space. But we did have a rehearsal. We with the Brian Lindsay band, we did a thing out in my backyard. So I set up a couple pallets, put the drums up on them. Anyway, long story short, we did a set, a little PA. I had neighbors come up to me after, and my neighborhood's pretty diverse as far as types of people. I couldn't believe it. You guys rock. You guys are great. Blah blah blah. And this is like, you know, that's great. And I just think it's nice, and you get more respect that way, and it brings people together. And
it's just better than getting a bottle thrown at your head from your neighbor. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, music does bring people together, as cliche as it sounds.
Music has the power to heal, and without it, it was difficult times.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what I was going to ask a little bit about backgrounds, because I know we talk metal a little bit. It's interesting you say metal, because I looked at all those bands sort of like the Bugs. There's sort of quasi-metal, more like alternative, but again, I don't like labels. Labels are for shirts, not for people.
My ex-husband, who's in Baba Yaga, and he was in a band called Stone Believer and Snaggletooth, he calls a lot of that like stoner rock metal.
See, I've heard that term, like Fox 45 now. They've used that term a lot now.
There's a little bit more robustness to it than just being like straight metal. They still play a lot. They're a great band. But that's how I met you, was at the Bug Jar. Because I'd be at all of those
I would say
shows.
for stoner metal, for me, one that would stick out, and a beautiful name too, is Bongzilla. But that stoner metal to me, it's like this sort of sludgy.
Right.
What's everybody's sort of? Now you're rockabilly, but was that your first? What sort of was your first likes for music, and you got into it, Doug? You're like laughing about it. So I want to know.
I was.
So you were like the
no-
Grease soundtrack.
No, not at all. I was Anthrax, Dream Theater. We listened to a lot of Ozzy. And then, back when I was in high school, of course, you gotta love Whitesnake. I mean,
Right.
it's all that
I still love
power
Whitesnake.
rock stuff. And when I was first asked to just sub with Beck and the Bopcats, I was like, I don't know. This rockabilly stuff is not really my scene.
Right.
He goes, well, we just need for one show. You're going to be there doing with the Elvis stuff anyway. So I sat in, and it was so much fun. It was so addicting. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah,
I got to
there it
get rid
is.
of their other drummer because I want this.
It's like, wait a second. I heard Still of the Night there for a little bit on that beat there.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of a St. Paul on the road to Damascus deal. But I think I like how you had an open mind about it, though, too, that, okay, I'm coming from this, and wow, there's all these different styles out there.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, I was in high school band, played in high school musicals. I was in a jazz band, pep band. Like, I was in high school orchestra, so I got a lot of variety of music in my background. As much as I like the metal, I also like listening to Buddy Rich. And on a different side, the Stuart Copeland from The Police is Imagine.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
A lot of techniques.
I saw Stuart
yeah,
Copeland. He did a show at the Eastman like 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah.
It was he was
Orchestral
fan-
Police or something like
yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
and he played guitar too. It was fantastic. And my friend I was with, she goes, "This is better because I think Sting's voice sucks." And it's better at everything.
But that's the true thing. I mean, I was in marching band, and
Yep,
then you do
drum
plays.
corps.
You do a play. It's all different facets. But like I like to always say, there's only 12 notes. It's how you arrange them. You know.
I can see it now. I can see it though. But Beck and the Bobcats turns to progressive jazz. The jazz odyssey has started.
So that's the thing. When I started playing guitar, and like way back, however many years ago it was that Kevin and I started playing in bands, all I was into was punk. I was all about the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the Circle Jerks and the Dead Kennedys, and that was my Dead Milkmen, Dead Kennedys, all the Dead bands except the Grateful Dead. That wasn't my thing.
Okay, let me start.
Suicidal
one second.
tendencies and-
I'll have to offend everybody on the Dead side. What did the Deadheads say after the drugs wore off? Man, this music sucks. Sorry, I love you guys. Love you.
So yeah, it was like all the punk thing, right? And then, as I got better at playing the guitar, I discovered Steve Vai. And then from there, it was just all about like technique and from there, like in college, I studied classical guitar and jazz guitar, and like my musical taste became like more and more complex and academic, and I didn't really necessarily think that rockabilly was my thing either, but playing this music is like re-educating myself about how creative and how much fun you can have with 3 chords.
Right.
That's actually, I could get into another show about how Mike Portnoy should be drumming for Rush, but I won't. But this summed me up, I think, to friends. This was many years back, and I was going to, some of the people we know were playing. They were like, it was like a punk show, like a psychobilly show, and they're like, you coming? You coming? I'm like, I'm going to be late. Why are you going to be late? I have a ballet to go to beforehand. Okay? I admit it. And I go to the RPO a lot. I go see the RPO, and I always use the Duke Ellington phrase I've used it could be a trademark of this show. There's only 2 kinds of music, good music and bad music. And that's like a question I'll bring out for you for bringing for the local music scene. I've talked about this a lot on this show. We try to, we gladly have cover bands, you're getting into originals, but you're bringing, I also think, like sort of niche music. But how do you just get people to open their minds and come out?
I don't know. I just look forward to hearing another Rochester band play Brick House.
Well, I mean, I think too, because now, like, and I think now especially that this show's expanded in an audience and reach. I'm hoping more people hear it and go, okay. Otherwise, blame Greg if you don't like him. Get him, not me.
I endorsed it. I take all the blame.
Yeah. See, but how do you? I've had friends tell me, okay, we're going to go to bands at Barnard. Great, cool. I see some bands there, and there's an Eagles cover band. Well, hey, take it easy now on this. I can listen to them anytime. Why don't you go see this band's really cool? Why don't you go see them? And they'll.
Yeah, but you cater. Well, I do marketing. I'm a web developer and marketing guru, and I try to target people what they want, to bring them in to find out what they don't know they want. So if you try to pull them in by telling them it's an we're an Elvis tribute, or not the word tribute, but we do Elvis, we do Chuck Berry, and you really get what they're looking for, but then they come and they're like, wow, this was way more than that. But honestly, it's marketing. You got to get them in somehow.
You can't say in the style of.
No, and we do. We say in the style of and things like that. But it's really just, what do they already like? Because unfortunately, people are stuck in their ways and they don't know or realize that they are. But when you mention bands or styles that they do like and that they want to see, and then when they come, you deliver that and so much more.
Yep.
Then you're able to get them in.
Knowing your crowd.
That's smart.
So I think we
the new stuff.
Yeah, that's a smart approach.
We do pride ourselves on trying to know our crowd and to also, like you said earlier, not cater to them, but listen to them. And if we have enough people requesting a particular song or a particular singer or band, and it's like, all right, you guys, let's learn one, let's do one that's obscure. Then we are doing it, but we're making them realize there's so much more to it than what they know.
Right.
It's not like a case. Has anybody seen the movie Losing It? It's an early movie with Tom Cruise and Shelley. It's about these typical idiot 1980s sex comedy about these high schoolers going down to Tijuana. So there's this club, the Tonga Way, and the guys out there, you gotta come in here and see the donkey. The women are filthy. And then a woman walks by, and he's like, are you okay, miss? Yeah, I'm a bit sad. Come to the Tonga Way. It's a nice, quiet nightclub. So I'd be like, what do you like, Sun Ra? Yeah, back in the Bobcats.
Right.
Then they'll get like,
get them in the door.
Yeah, Rob, why did they?
We'll hook them.
And I think also there's the idea of for local bands. Number one, there's a difference between recorded music and live music, and people come and they feel. I don't know how you can't feel like it, except for me. But how you can't feel excited about, you get up, you get excited. You have a lot of people dance at your shows and stuff.
We do. Yeah. We have swing dancers that come, and that always just gives us more energy to just see them dancing. But even last night, we had a bunch of people dancing, and it just literally fuels us to want to do more like the songs that they're interested in. And
that's pretty cool because as drummers, when you see people dancing, you say, "Okay, I must be doing this right."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the chimes at midnight are coming. And I thank everybody for being on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're going to have to be like a regular from now on.
Yeah, man.
Just pour the drink over Greg's head and take over. No, you'll be Greg one day. It's like, you look alike.
I just squeeze my hair.
Oh, yeah, we look just like we can be twins.
You play all around. I know the Bonsays, Iron Smoke, Archive.
Yeah, Peacemaker. We're playing
what's coming up? What's coming up for you?
So next weekend we're at Peacemaker, and that is in Canandaigua. It's a brewery. We love playing there. We've got shows coming up we have a new one at my apartment bar on Mount Reed.
You're at your house,
right? I know. I had to make that clear to the boys. My apartment, the bar.
It's on Mount Hope. I've seen.
Yeah, so that's a new one for us. We're excited to try there. We're playing at Rabbit Hole this summer. We're playing at the Highlands at Pittsford for their awesome car show we do every year. It's so much fun.
Rockabilly and car shows. Come on.
Oh, they go hand in hand. Yeah. We're doing the Irondequoit Farmers Market, the Gates Farmers Market. So there's a whole bunch. We have everything listed on our website.
That one I may be able to stop by after I record here because I think it goes till 2:00 on the way home.
Awesome.
But do you have any site, by the way? How do we get a hold of you?
So our website is beckandthebopcats.com.
Not the Bobcats.
No, but you know what? We own that URL too because people mishear us. And so we have it redirected, which is also a little marketing tidbit. Make sure that your name is memorable enough for people when they Google it. So we are both Beck and the Bopcats and beckandthebobcats.com, but we are Beck and the Bopcats. You can find us on Facebook at Beck and the Bopcats. We're on YouTube, and we're sometimes on Instagram. I'm not that great over there, but we are there, and we will get those messages. So,
very cool. Thanks, everybody. We're going to have a very big treat for you now. I heard a little about this song. I'm sure it's going to be awesome, but I can't wait to hear it. And tune in. Thanks, everybody. Happy summer, and join us, too, for, I have no idea what we're doing. It'll be interesting. Bye. See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Way down Alabama. Alabama, way down Louisiana. Well, nobody gonna sit it down. Oh, that mercy on my soul. How many chickens have I sold? One last night and the night before. I'm gonna come back, try to get 10, 11 more, try to get some richer. I love the chicken, baby. Alabama. Well, nobody gonna sit him down. Fly reaching and he was headed for the view. A chicken leaf on the run, dripping all blue. So damn laughing, drinking whiskey and gin. Well, his teeth fell out, but his tongue stayed in. The doctor said so. I got the chicken, baby. Alabama. Well, nobody gonna sit him down. Little old monkey told the lion one day that a bad old gorilla coming down your way. The way you talk about your mouth is crying. She said your mama's working for the chain gang. She's busting bricks now. She's on the wrecking ball.